Today we're adding to Russia's serial killer hall of infamy, but this episode is somewhat different as it's a very recent case. While we've featured Russia before in this murky series with the story of the chessboard killer, we've also talked about Russian cannibalism in our episode Cannibal Island. But those people on the latter island of death resorted to eating each other out of sheer starvation and desperation, while the couple in this video could be said to be the strangest and most sadistic people we've ever talked about. Without further ado, welcome to this episode of the Infographics Show, Russia's horrific cannibal couple. Let's get right down to it. On September 26, 2017, Time magazine ran a headline that went, "A Russian cannibal couple may have eaten up to 30 people, investigators say." The accompanying video told us a Russian couple is accused of sedating, skinning alive, and eating parts of as many as 30 people. Over in Russia, RT started a headline with, "Selfies with human remains." But how did the story develop? Who were the couple? How long were they active, and what happened to them? This all started when a road crew in Russia found a phone on the roadside. Of course they were a bit nosy, and so decided to look at the gallery. What they found was disturbing to say the least. The Washington Post tells us those guys did some swiping and discovered photos of a man with different parts of a dismembered human body in his mouth. They immediately contacted the authorities. This was September 11th, 2017. The man and his wife were Natalia Baksheeva, 42, and Dimitri Baksheev, 35. They lived at a military academy in the city of Krasnodar, which is around 5 hours away from the city of Sochi. Sochi is a medium-sized city on the coast of the Black Sea in southern Russia. There are reports that some of the human meat they made may have even been served up to the people at that military base, but we'll get around to that later. The couple was quick to admit what they had done, although the BBC tells us that a body of at least one person was found at the base where they lived. The couple told the cops they had killed as many as 30 folks. The BBC writes in the second paragraph, police confirmed a number of food and meat items discovered at their home were now being tested for human DNA. Then below that, caution, contains graphic content. It said a dismembered body was found at their apartment, which in pictures and videos is about as messy as an apartment could get. What's worse, of course, is what else was found there, including a photo that was widely published of what looks like human remains that had been pickled inside a jar. Some remains had not been subjected to pickling. The investigative committee of Krasnodar territory were quick to issue a statement saying food fragments and frozen meat pieces of unknown origin were seized in the kitchen. It said the couple lured folks to their place after finding them on dating sites. If you look at the couple, the man is lean and fairly muscular, and older photos show him looking like a man not to be messed with. One photo of Dimitri shows a mean-looking guy with strong arms holding a hammer and a sickle, a kind of real-life rendition of the Soviet flag. The wife, certainly in her younger years, would definitely attract a lot of men. One of the couple's friends was later interviewed, and she said if you put them side by side, they looked like the Beauty and the Beast. It's thought they had been killing for around 2 decades. The BBC writes, one photograph is dated December 28, 1999, and appears to show a human head on a serving plate with fruit. Apparently, that was served for Christmas dinner. The couple, it's reported, used the tranquilizer Corvalol to sedate their victims. Then the victims would be killed, and the couple would go to work on their body parts. This, at least, is what investigators believe they did. The story is not all that clear. One of the couple's neighbors told the press that she had not noticed anything unusual about them, only that Natalia had started drinking more heavily after she lost her job as a medical worker. She said Dimitri was a construction worker. As we said, the couple admitted to the crimes quickly, but still, serial killers can't always be taken at their word. Investigations did reveal that the number 30 could well have been real, as the police found at least 19 bits of flayed skin around their apartment. Police also found disturbing photos, one of which shows the decapitated head of a man with his hand stuffed into his mouth. The police also found a homemade video titled "Video Lessons for Cannibals," but this information was all in the initial reports, and then the media went quiet. This is surprising given the extent of the crimes. Little by little, other reports did emerge, such as stories containing more photos, including the killers kissing and wrapped in an embrace. The Russian media talked about the last of the victims, who was a 35-year-old waitress by the name of Elena Vashrusheva. Apparently, that young woman was murdered in a fit of jealous rage after she had allegedly flirted with Dimitri. Some reports said that inside jail, Dimitri had complained about not being able to see his wife, a person who he dearly loved. It's obvious that he loves his wife very much and worries about her, said one human rights activist in Dimitri's defense. It was then reported that the couple had retracted their statements, saying they hadn't killed as many people. Moreover, they denied eating people. The same activist told the press, Dimitri has heard that the newspapers have called him and his wife Natalia cannibals. I would not say that he was angry, his reaction was more melancholic, but he fully denies having eaten human meat. So what about that head on a platter and the human remains around the house? RT reports that Dimitri had told a story to police wherein he had found a dismembered body in a forest. Of course, instead of telling authorities, he did the normal thing and took it home. He then photographed himself with the head and also holding a bunch of other body parts and putting some parts in his mouth. That's how these photos ended up in the hands of workmen after Dimitri had presumably lost that phone. Later, more reports said that a man who went by the name of Angel, a handsome hunk by all accounts, had been part of the gruesome murders. It said he was the lure for lonely women looking at dating websites. He denied this, and it seems he was never charged. Fast forward to August 2018, and Britain's popular tabloid newspaper The Daily Mail reported that psychiatrists had declared that Natalia was sane. That wasn't too long before we wrote this, and the Mail reports that the investigation is ongoing. Russian authorities have said they are still collecting evidence, and as yet, they are not willing to say that the couple were mass murderers or even that they ate their victims. That was the latest report we could find. So, we have a phone with pictures of a dismembered body starring in Selfies with Dimitri. We have a confession of around 30 murders and then a retraction. We have pickled body parts and 19 bits of human skin. We have the dead body of a woman and a head on a platter decorated with lots of oranges. But you also have a friend of the couple coming out and saying Dimitri was an even-minded guy and eating people just wasn't his style. She added that it could be like him to find a dead body and take some pictures with its various parts. Apparently, Dimitri must have been a bit of a joker, albeit one with a warped sense of humor. So, we'll turn this over to you now and ask you one question. What do you think happened here? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video, Insane Ways the US Tried to Take Out Fidel Castro. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time!